fact, they are. Thomas Sowell, brilliant mind, one of the smartest conservative minds today. He said the Ebola outbreak in West Africa is both a danger to it in itself and a wake-up call for Americans about President Obama. Our top priority should be to keep it overseas. Yet Obama has refused to bar entry into the United States by people from countries where the Ebola epidemic rages, as Britain has done, as we have always done. The safety of American people has taken second place to the goal of helping people overseas. He's ordered thousands of troops to go to Ebola-stricken Liberia, disregarding the dangers to the troops and to other Americans when the troops return. At a minimum, it suggests that he takes his conception of himself as a citizen of the world more seriously than he takes his role as President of the United States. At worst, he may consider Americans' interests expendable in this grand scheme of things internationally. If so, this could explain a lot of his foreign policy disasters around the world, which seem inexplicable otherwise. His foreign policy incompetence may be overlooking the possibility that he has different priorities than the protection of American people and of the American interest as a nation. It's a monstrous possibility, Sowell says, but no one familiar with the history of the 20th century should consider monstrous possibilities as things to dismiss automatically, nor should anyone who has followed Barack Obama's behavior over his lifetime and the values that behavior reveals. Whatever the reason or combination of reasons that led Obama's foreign policy disasters around the world, with the crowning disaster of all, a nuclear Iran, looming on the horizon, it cannot be simple lack of knowledge or experience. Various former members of his administration are telling the same story of information and advice from knowledgeable and experienced officials being ignored by this vain, headstrong man. No one knows at this point how big the Ebola danger may turn out to be, but what we do know is that the official reassurances about this and other dangers have become worthless. I talked about this months ago. People say Obama is a failure. And every time I hear that, I cringe. In order to judge whether a man is a failure or a success, you have to look not at your expectations, but at his objectives. And Obama's objectives, by his upbringing, by his courses he taught in school, by the people he surrounded himself with, his objective was to destroy the United States of America. And brothers and sisters, Barack Hussein Obama has been a catastrophic success. No one in the history of time has done more to destroy the United States than Barack Hussein Obama. The communists, the Japanese, World War II, nobody has done more to destroy America and the American way of life than Barack Hussein Obama. Oh, next up, Obama administration's on the verge of destroying franchises, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Vistaprint, Copyman, Chevron, Shell, all the businesses that we frequent on a daily basis, giving our business to a small businessman from our community. All of these businesses are at risk because as they ignored bankruptcy law with GM, the Obama administration, the National Labor Relations Board, is getting ready to run roughshod over decades of business law, of franchise law. Current case, McDonald's has an employee. 3 of the franchises, I believe it is, have employee relations issues. I don't know the specifics of them, whether it was somebody who was fired for being fat, not hired for being black, I don't know. Lawsuits were brought. And the Labor Relations Board is now going to hold McDonald's responsible, taking away the small business opportunity. The franchisors that put up the money to build their own company will now be treated like divisions of a corporation, and they have to take their marching orders from the corporate structure. This will destroy franchises. It will destroy small business in America. This will have a devastating effect on our economy. Mark my words. Folks, stay with me. Got a lot more coming up, but we have some bills to pay. Please stick around.
Tom O'Halloran, holding the line against tyranny from Washington, D.C.
I am America. One voice, united we stand. I am America. One hope to heal our land. There is still work that must be done. I will not rest until we've won. I am America.
Welcome back. This is the Wednesday night edition of Patriot Radio with Tom O'Halloran. I am your host, Tom O'Halloran, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in, for taking a listen to the show. I know you have a lot of options each and every night, and I appreciate it every time you are with me. Special thanks to the gang in the chat room, Veronica, my very, very capable editor, good friends, Gulf Dogs, Smokey from Texas, Ron and Brian. Great show on Sunday nights. If you go to Patriot-Radio-Show.com, please be sure you click on the radio shows I like at the top of the center column. There's a whole list of great radio shows that you can listen to. Their show is right there at the top. It's part of the Valhalla Network, Halls of Valhalla. The BNR radio show, The Last Stand, Sundays at 8 o'clock. One of the best shows on radio. I absolutely love listening to them, and I'm so thrilled that they tune in and are part of my show each and every week. Up next, also new visitor tonight, Quincy. Thanks for joining us, brother. I hope to see you again. Up next, I'm going to give away a copy of White Girl Bleed a Lot. Terrific book written by a friend of mine. There's over 300 stories and 400 pages, story after story of this black-on-white gang violence. Cullen doesn't explain why the crimes are happening. He doesn't make excuses. He doesn't do anything except report the facts. Many of the stories have QR codes, so you read the story, you scan the QR code with your smartphone, and it takes you to YouTube, and you can watch a video, if not of the crime itself, then of the coverage of the violence. He looks at why the things are not being reported by the police as racial violence, which it obviously is. Great, great book. If you don't have a copy of it, please be the first caller at 888-909-1050, and you'll get your copy free. Okay, let's see. Up next. This one's unbelievable. The story just came across. I got it from Quincy in the chat room. A Canadian Muslim community just put out a handbook. It's an anti-terror handbook, mind you. This handbook was endorsed by the U.S. State Department. And inside the handbook, although it's anti-terror, it references jihad. Sit down, folks. I told you you would be upset. It references jihad as noble. So cutting somebody's head off for being a Christian is a noble thing, according to President Hussein Obama's State Department. And they're endorsing this. Sure, they're only killing Christians. It's not like they're going to come after Obama's people. It just gets worse. You just can't make this stuff up, folks. Just can't make it up. Oh, let's see what else we got. Oh, I know. We used to be the leader in the free world. We used to be the leader in the world. Column came out today by Michael Snyder talking about how far we have fallen. 26 ways China has surpassed the United States. There is now more corporate debt in China than there is in the United States. During 2013, we sold $121 billion worth of stuff to the Chinese, but they sold $440 billion to us. That's the largest trade deficit that one nation has ever had to another in the history of the world. That's Barack Hussein Obama. China is now the leading manufacturer of goods in the entire world. Back in 1988, the United States had 25% of the high-tech export market. China had 10%. Today, China's high-tech exports are more than twice the size of the U.S. high-tech exports. The United States had been the leading consumer of energy in the world for about 100 years. But during the summer of 2010, China overtook the number one spot. China is the number one gold producer in the world. China is also the number one gold importer. They have more foreign currency reserves than anyone on the planet. They are the largest new car market in the world. They use more cement than the rest of the world combined. China has the world's fastest train and the most expensive high-speed rail network. China awards more doctoral degrees in engineering every year than the United States does. China controls over 90% of the global supply of rare earth elements. And they now produce 11 times as much steel as the United States does. We are so far in decline, and not all of it, but a great deal of this is because of Obama and his policies. An investigation by the U.S. Senate Committee on Armed Services found more than 1 million counterfeit Chinese parts in the Department of Defense supply chain. Not only are they selling you and I counterfeit goods, but we're buying counterfeit goods for our military as well. That should scare you. They can't even keep lead and poisons out of our babies' food, our dogs' food. And we're going to be putting their parts in our planes and our jets, our tanks, our missiles. President Obama is the biggest failure in United States leadership, not just of presidents, but of any elected official in the United States. 7 major events where Obama has overlooked security and intelligence concerns. Starting off by appointing John Brennan as the head of the CIA. Number one, he's a Muslim. What are we doing appointing a Muslim to any security position? But he assured us that an Islamic caliphate was never going to happen. And here we are. Obama's comment that ISIS is a JV team. It definitely isn't a junior varsity group of terrorists. They're selling oil on the black market, participating in human trafficking, demanding ransom